Hey, welcome into the round pen with this little 2-year-old horse named Sky. And I want to show you a little bit today about beginning to teach collection to your horse. And as I'm walking her around, I'll try to explain to you what collection is. It is more than just the horse tucking their nose under. Let me ask her to move. Although that's part of it. In order for a horse to be in collection, generally speaking, they need to be able to drop their nose down toward their chest. And I've been teaching this to her. This horse has about somewhere between 40 and 50 rides, although half of those rides were not by me. They were by the lady who owns her or one of my interns, which is good for her, but she may not have learned quite as much as if I was riding her on every ride. So see, she's pushing a little bit with her nose, but she's doing it. Okay, so that's not collection. What that is that's her giving her face. And she's not doing it very willingly, but she's doing it there, okay? So the beginnings of teaching collection is your horse needs to understand how to put their nose down toward their chest. And vertical flexion is lateral flexion put together. So lateral flexion, bend her to the right, bend her to the left, bend her to the right, bend her to the left. When I put those two together, left and right together equals down. There she goes. That's pretty nice. Okay, so she got a little better once I did this and reminded her left, right. Okay, now bring it down. And this horse, she's been off for 2 days. This is like Monday morning for her. I just pulled her out of the stall, so she's gonna be a little stiff. She's doing well. So start teaching collection. I need to get her to the point that, number one, she understands how to put her nose down when I ask her to. And generally I will do this in a bend. So right now I've got a left-hand shape, and I want her to bend her nose a little bit, about 15 or 20 degrees. And then I want to pick up on my right outside rein and ask her to bring that nose down toward the left shoulder like that, okay? And so I've been working on this with her. This is probably, I'll say 10 sessions to get her to this point right here. I don't insist on it too much. I just ask for a little bit every day, and if I get a little bit better each day, I'm happy with that. There, okay, there. All right, I let her out of it. Okay. So, how do we start working on collection? The rest of collection is she needs to bring her nose and her tail need to get closer together. And her back needs to go up. So the way I start to get that, and this is probably really the first time I've tried this, I just barely played with it the other day. So I don't expect it to be very good, but I'm going to try it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get her in that left shape, get her nose down. Then I'm going to take my left spur and start bumping her belly just a little bit and asking her to bend her belly like that, okay? And I know it might be a little hard to see on the video, especially if you're not used to watching it and seeing this. So she's probably not going to achieve anything that is really collection today, because it'll probably take both of my spurs getting her to lift her back. And I'm going to put both spurs on her and see what happens, okay? And I'm not getting much. I got just a little bit right there, okay? And she moved over, but she did it, okay? Can you do this without spurs? I suppose you could. I've not been able to do it because I'm not able to get that horse to lift its back without a little bit more extra something underneath their belly to get them to understand it. You know, if you can do it and you can do it with just your boots, then, you know, that's awesome. I'm impressed. I've just never been able to do it. Now you might be saying, well, why does a horse even need to do that? Well, for one thing, it's a lot safer for them physically. For her, and sometimes we call this riding in frame or riding in balance. So there, she's almost doing it right there. That's actually pretty good. When she walks around like this with her nose down and her back kind of up, she's in balance. She's not as likely to hurt herself, to step on her own feet or pull a muscle or anything like that, because she's doing it properly. That's one reason. The other reason is, in order to do any kind of an athletic move, A horse has to be in collection. Barrel racers have to be able to collect their horse to go around a barrel. Roping horses have to collect to shoot out of the box and to back up and stretch the rope. Reiners, cutters, all of them have to be able to get their horses in some kind of collection. And so it's just good for them to know. That's actually not bad. It's not perfect. She could get her back a little higher. That's not bad at all. Okay. There. That's not bad at all. Now I'm going to ask her for a collected stop. And again, it's not pure. So I'm going to get her back up. I'm going to get her nose down, and I'm just going to sit back and ask her to stop. Okay? And then she rocked back on her hindquarters. And then I'm going to roll her over this way. All right. So for a little baby 2-year-old with this many rides, I'm kind of happy with that. All right, the last thing I'm going to show you is a little bit of bitting up. There. Ooh. Okay, so she pushed her nose out, which is typical in the beginning. She'll figure out not to do that after a while. Okay, so I do like to bit my horses up. Some of them don't need a lot of this. Some need a lot. It just kind of depends on the horse. And there are different ways to do it. The simplest way to bit a horse up is just to take the rein and put it through the D-ring here on your saddle on both sides and just get their nose where it's back about that much. Just tie it there. Okay, and that's what I did with her the first time I bit her up. Put her about right there and just walked and trotted her around this round pen. Second way that I'm going to do, this is the one I'm going to do with her, is I'll run the reins through under her front legs like this, and then bring the reins up and tie them on top of the saddle right here. What this will do is this will keep a horse's head low. And this horse does tend to want to throw her head up high and stick her nose out a little bit. So she kind of needs this. Some horses don't, especially some of those cutting type quarter horses. They do this naturally anyway, so they don't really need this. That's probably about right. All right. But she does. She needs it just to remind her that I want her nose and her head to stay below saddle horn level. Okay, so this is probably I'm going to say the 4th or 5th time that I've bitted this horse up. And I do it different ways each time because it'll teach her something different. By putting those reins between the front legs, what it does is every time she takes a step back, it seesaws that bit just a little bit on her tongue. Hey, wake up. There we go. And so you can see she's kind of figuring that out. Oh, the dog bothered her there. Dog was on the other side of the fence. Okay. And so you can see that bit seesawing now that she's trotting around, but she's figuring it out because the reins are kind of loose. So I've done this enough times that she's starting to figure out that if she'll drop her nose down and put it down where I want it to be, then she won't have any pressure on her tongue. And that's a little lower. I don't want her to run around like that with her head down by her knees. She's not a Western pleasure horse. But with her, she'll find a happy medium. And that's why I say with some horses I wouldn't do it this way. But with this one, since she tends to be a little high-headed, this kind of helps her understand what I want her to do. Okay. Good. Okay. Okay. So right there, when she changed direction, she tried to throw her head up, which she tends to do. And there she said, I'm going to kick at the dog, which is fine. Go ahead and kick at the dog, but you got to keep your head down, don't you? Good. So there's a caution about this, and please hear me. Please do not do this unless your horse really understands dropping their nose down and giving to the pressure of the bit. Okay? Please don't do it unless you've taught that horse over several weeks how to give their nose like I showed you earlier. Because if you do, you'll scare your horse And they can very easily panic, flip over, cut their tongue, all kinds of bad things can happen. So please hear my caution. Teach that horse to give their face and give to that pressure and be pretty good at it before you try anything like this. Okay? Okay, let me see if I can change directions again. She turned away from me. I didn't like that, but okay. Good. 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 Now change again. So she's not turning into me on this side. That's another issue for another day. I'm not going to try to fix that right now. But she's doing pretty well. Okay. So this horse, I will likely in the next couple of weeks start riding her in a German martingale, at least some. And when I do, I'll try to make a video and show you how to do that, because the German martingale is just a little rope that puts a little downward pressure on them when you pick up on the reins, and kind of teaches them that you want that nose to come down and you want her to keep that head down. Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty good. All right, so does this horse understand collection? No, but it's a pretty good start.